things are kind of slowing down now regarding tariffs, regarding trading wars, all these sorts of China versus US versus the world. All these stocks are kind of slowing down, and we're kind of seeing that when we look at the Fear and Greed Index, not only for crypto, but also the VIX, for example, and the S&P 500. When we look at these indicators, they're kind of giving us the idea that things are about to stagnate for the time being. What does that mean? It means that most likely we're not going to see a huge spike in price in the S&P 500. We're not going to see, again, Bitcoin going back to the 90, 94, 95, 96,000 dollars. No, we're going to see that up and down, 3% in one day, -5, +6, 7, 3, 2, those kind of halfway numbers, to make you think that the market's gonna boom, explode towards one side. In the meantime, my personal idea is that we're just gonna keep cruising, Bitcoin between that 85 to $90,000 mark, maybe the full 80s range. Ethereum, I don't even care about Ethereum anymore, to be honest. The S&P 500 between that 5,200, 5,300 mark that it currently is, but then we're gonna have to wait for something to move the market once again to, make that fear, make that greed go back up and get the ball running. So let's see what the market conditions are for this week. Let's do some projections, and then let's look at our copy trading, which is doing fantastic. Let's do all of this in today's video. So let's start with prices. $87,289 for Bitcoin, Ethereum at the 1,600 mark. We have XRP again above the $2 at $2.11, BNB above the 600. You gotta love BNB, man. I have been talking about BNB for a while now. If you remember some videos, I say BNB above 500 is a must. I have some BNB. I love BNB, and I love that even though the markets are up and down, going all over the place, it is way more steady than these other coins at the top 10 especially. Then we have Solana at 138. Glad to see Solana above the 130, and then everything else that doesn't give us more info anyways. So with that in mind, if we go to the liquidations, you see very, very low number, 200 million more or less, and most of that, 77% of these were shorts. Shorts got liquidated because they thought the market was going to go down, when instead the market kind of stayed the same, moved a little bit up and wiped them out. But again, not all of them, just $194 million, which yes, again, is a lot of money, no question on that end. But we've seen 1.4, we've seen $1.5 billion liquidated in a single day. So this number is fairly little when you compare to the overall biggest numbers that we've seen here and liquidation wise. Now, if we move to the liquidation map, especially with Bitcoin, you can see Bitcoin is inside a range. So this range goes from the $88,000 all the way to the bottom of $86,000. And guess what? We just hit the tip of that liquidation. You see right around here, we wiped some people out of the market. Now, maybe most likely we're going to be aiming for the $87,000. If we switch that to Ethereum, you see that Ethereum already wiped the bottom side of liquidations right here, going all the way to the low 1600s. It got these positions liquidated, and now it cruised back up. Will it reach the high 1600s? Well, I don't think it will, because again, we cannot expect much from Ethereum this time because it hasn't been doing good for us. And if we switch to Sol, Solana is a little bit worrisome because it has a very strong bottom at the 135. But again, comparing that, the 135 a few days ago was a very good place for Solana. Maybe we will indeed see first the 137 and then the 135 in the next 24 hours. But again, I wouldn't bet on this. Maybe this will be enough to just push down and then go back up. But we do have a strong area of interest right here around the 135 for Solana. Now, let's actually look at XRP. We don't look often at XRP, and XRP actually very bullish. It touched the top right here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. This one didn't reach the top. It wasn't strong enough to reach the top right here of this liquidity point of interest right here. We went to the bottom. Now, most likely we should be testing again. So good for you if you're holding XRP. Maybe this is a good opportunity for you to long, buy a call, maybe. Again, not financial advice. This is just on looking at a single information. I haven't done any due diligence, but if you are trying to trade, as I said before, you need to look at a bunch of indicators and see if all of them match your idea, your conclusion of going long or going short or whatever there may be. But this is actually looking good if I was to trade on XRP, options or perpetual, whatever that could be. Now, let's actually look at some charts, some data here. If we switch to Bitcoin, you can see we have that very nice green candle on the daily, followed by a little bit of volume, more than the past 3 days, but still not enough for us to get anything out of it most likely would just bounce off the blue average right here, the blue moving average that you're seeing, and most likely it will bounce off of the Bollinger Bands, the top of the Bollinger Band, which is the green line right here, and it will slow down. But because the RSI is also pointing up a lot, we have to keep an eye to see if volume follows once the American market opens. So keep an eye on volume. If the RSI keeps its huge momentum pointing up and we see a breakout above the average right here and above the Bollinger, maybe this could be a good entry point towards maybe right here, the $94,000. But again, as I said in the beginning of the video, I highly doubt it that we will see these numbers, or if we see them, it's just going to be like for a flash. We're just going to see it go there and then correct towards the 80,000 once again, or the 80s range to be more precise. Now, going to Ethereum, Ethereum doesn't show any strength signals like Bitcoin is showing. RSI still below the 50, not good. Volume, non-existent. You see volume is super bad on Ethereum. We are holding on the averages, still on a very precise downtrend right here. We would need to be above the 1700s for us to show any sign of, hey, there's something happening here with Ethereum. But again, if we show strength right here, we will be held up by these averages, especially the blue moving average, which is the 51. It will hold the price of Ethereum for sure, because even the most simple averages right here is giving Ethereum a hard time. Everything else will for sure hold its movement. If we switch to Solana instead, now Solana is showing some recovery, because right here it was doing lower lows and lower highs, but now it kind of flipped, kind of showing strength right here, actually testing and holding on the moving average. You see the yellow line right here, it is bouncing off of it, which is very good to see. Now we have to see how it will go against these moving average, the 100 and the 50 moving average. The RSI is looking towards the top right here, the 70s, which is good. It is a little bit bullish. So if you look at all of this, the only thing that scares us is volume. As you see right here, volume very low, even lower than Ethereum. But again, we're seeing a chart like this, which is very skewed by these days right here from January 18th, 19, and 20. These are holding up the charts, but most likely if we actually zoom out to this, we are on an average volume for Solana. So we have to wait and see how it reacts to the top of the Bollinger like we are seeing right now. This was funneled up quite a bit right here, but still not enough to predict a huge movement on Solana. So that being said, the market is still closed for the S&P 500. We seem like we're going to be opening with a little bit of a green today. So a little bit of a gap, 0.13% so far in the pre-market. So a good opening price. But if you look here at the Bollinger Bands, it doesn't look good. The week before, we had a huge spike back towards the 5,400 for the S&P 500, which honestly, I kind of predicted it. If you remember, I said in a video, well, when we close below the Bollinger, we usually have a good week after. And we actually had that good week. Now we got a average last week, and most likely today, depending on what Trump says, how the market reacts, we should be coasting and gliding a little bit. So a little bit of a downside towards the maybe 5150, maybe the 5200s for the S&P 500, which should reflect, especially in volume, for crypto and Bitcoin. Now, before we close, let's take a look at the copy trading, because as I said in another video, most likely we will be reaching 5% this month on the copy trading, and that is actually huge for the 0DTE options. We're so far at 4.66%. So we beat December, we beat February and March so far. We are almost reaching the January mark where we got 5.15%. Hopefully we can get above 5 this month as well. That will be great for the copy trading strategy. And if we scroll down, we're almost at 2 million of assets under management. This would be your TVL, more or less. So thank you so much if you are one of the few and one of the many that are joining the copy trading strategy. I made a video on Friday. That video was very good. So if you haven't watched, it shows you what is the power of options on your dollar. So it's pretty much like a very high yield savings for your dollar. So check that video out. It's the video prior to this, so the last video. You can check it out in the channel right here. So overall, very happy with the copy trading, very happy with this week to what the market will offer. But again, we have to keep an eye to see if Trump or any other global leader will say or do anything that can affect our money. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys on Wednesday, most likely. And if not, I'll see you on Friday. So thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you then. Peace.